Okay, so we've made our first ring. We could either use a solid piece, and I'll show you how to make a segmented bottom, but let's just talk about design for a minute. Just a little bit about design, and I'll use this vase as an example. Um, when I said it really doesn't matter what the dimensions are, if you don't care whether it's 6 inches or 6.2 or 5.9, um, until you really get into some of the intricate designs, if you're doing something like this, it's about what it is. If you're within a tenth or two, it's probably okay. What the difference is the relative difference between one row and the other. So whether this one is 6, if you recall, we measured this one to be 6, and from the high point to the high point, it's almost exactly 6, and we just got it close. When I built this one, I didn't use any measurements. I grabbed a piece of wood, like so, had a chuck in it, or had a recess. I put a recess into it and said, that's my start. This happened to be, I think it was probably 4 inches or so. It probably started out at 4 inches, it's 3 3/4. So I could just grab a piece of wood. Let's say I put a piece on the bottom of this, the same size, and I wanted to make a shape that went up like this ahead of time, and I wanted to make a nice even slope that went up, and we can see how we've got this curvature into here. So if this is a 6-inch one, we'll just, instead of a 4-inch base, we'll just assume we have a 6-inch base with a solid piece onto it. And if I wanted to come up at some given shape, and after a while, I've just got 3 strips here that I have left over from making some of my alternating strips of wood, and they're of varying size. This one here is a little bit thicker. This one here is about 0.19. This one here is about 0.9, and this one here is 1.14. So this one is about 1/8 of an inch, a little bit more. And when I did this one here, I said I grabbed a piece of wood, and I know, and we'll go over the calculations from the website of how to calculate it. But once I know that I want to keep a constant rate from the bottom to the up a ways, and this one is 6, and if I want to go up at about this, if I know if I make each one of these blocks 1/8 of an inch bigger, 1/8 of an inch bigger, it'll make it a half an inch more in diameter. So if this one's 6 inches and I made it 6 1/8, the next one will be 6 1/2, the next one will be 7, etc., and you'll get a slope. And you could change those slopes. If I put a thinner strip into there, it would be less of a slope. If I put a thicker one in, it would be more of a shape. So let's just assume we have a 6-inch diameter, and I want to make a slope that's similar to this. We'll just use that, and I've got an eighth of strip of wood. So now I don't need to measure anything. I don't need to get these out, these calipers. I don't need a tape measure. This thing is already set up right here to cut these strips. And as long as I don't move it, I'm going to go ahead and put my little wiggly lines on here. This one's pretty square, so we'll just make it this way here. Okay, so first I'll make this first cut and get it started. So now I have the first cut of this first block, but I know I want to make it 1/8 of an inch bigger. Well, I could put a mark onto here and measure it. So instead of doing any measurements or measuring this to what 6 1/2 inches is, I'm just going to put it up to here and touch it. So now if I cut this, it's at 6 inches. If I move it this amount of space, or about 0.14, and the key is that I didn't move this too much or at all. So now I'll just cut 12 of these piece of poplar, and we'll see if it comes out to be about a ½ inch bigger. So now I'll go up to here. So we have 12 segments. Let's just move. Cut a little length off of here. Remember to lift this guy up and cut it just underneath there so that doesn't hang over. The tape is just there to hold us temporarily. Well, that was pretty unsmooth. That blue tape is just there to hold us. Here we're at 6½ inches. So this strip here gives me a ½ inch bigger. So we can see here, this is about it's going to be a ½ inch bigger in diameter. And if I make the next one a ½ inch and the next one a ½ inch, I'll get a slope similar to this one. And you can play around with that. This one here, I just happened to, I grabbed one that it was close enough. I have all of these strips laying around of different things from when I strip things up. And so whichever measurement you decide how steep you want it to come up, just use the same one over and over and you'll get a continuous slope. So up to this ring here, then these are all the same size, then they get smaller. And then these into here actually get a lot deeper to go in. So that's how you can build one of this size with doing no measurements. Of just starting off with a piece of wood and deciding, okay, I'm going to start off with 4½ inches. The base, I'll make the first ring 4½ inches. I'll use this little spacer into here and I'll just start making them bigger until it builds up to where if I've sketched it out. I didn't sketch this one out, I don't think. I might have sketched it out. Anyway, so you can just literally shape what you want with one stick or two sticks. But if you want them to come out nice and even and the segments are the same depth, then you can just use this one.